So guys, now let's start about slicing in Python. So slicing are applicable to almost all the built-in sequences in Python. And here we will understand slicing on a list object. And once you'll have an understanding a slicing on this list object, then you can apply the same logic to any other sequences. So we will understand slicing with the positive indexes, with negative indexes, as well as we will understand the steps in slicing, and we will understand negative steps also, because that's where the complexity begins. And by the end of this video, you will have a idea about the most complex slicing also, and you will know that how to resolve that. So let's get started with this. So first, let's create our first slice. So first write down this I list, write down a square bracket, and then write down a colon, and let's run the code. So do you see we got back a whole list back. So this list is a copy of this list. So this is one way with the help of slice we can create a copy of any sequence, and in this case here our sequence is a list. But now let's say you want to take a slice of this list. So let's say you want to take this from 20th up to the end, this slice from this list. So a sequence slicing contains three arguments: start, end, and step. So you can provide this start argument wherever you want to take or begin your sequence. So as you want to begin your sequence from the second index, so mention your second index over here, and let's run the code. So do you see we have got our slice back? But now you don't want to go up to the end. You want to go from 20th to just 60th. So what you will do, just copy and paste the same slice. Now you will mention this end argument also. So what was the index of this 20th? 2. So we have mentioned over here. And what's the, as you want to take this slice, and what's the index of the 60th? 6. But in this AND argument, it always exclude the last index. So you need to add one it. So when you will add 6 plus 1, that will be 7, then only it will take up to this 60. So let's make it 7. Let's run the code. So do you see we have got this line. So remember this point, this AND argument exclude the last item. So always add one it whenever you use slice. So now the same thing you can do with a negative slicing also. So what is the negative slice of this second index? There's a -8. So just replace this -2 to -8, and let's run the code. So do you see our output did not change? So it does the same thing. Only thing we are using, instead of positive index, a negative index over here, and you can use both of these index as a negative index. And what is the negative index of the 7? That's the -3. So you can mention -3 also over here. You will see the same output. So now we have learned how to take a slice back with the start and end argument. Now let's see what does this step do. So first let me go ahead and take a whole list again, and let's write down first a colon, and for now I'm not mentioning neither start nor end. I'm just mentioning a step, that is 1. So do you see we are getting our whole list back, and again this is a copy of our list. But now let's mention instead of 1 in this step argument 2. So do you see what we have got? We have got the alternate items of this list. So it began from the beginning. So as usual we add whenever we start our sequence slicing. So 0 has added. So now it took 2 steps. So 0, 1, 2. So then 20 has added. Then again 1 step, 2 step, 40 has added. Then 1 step, 2 step, 60 has added. 1 step, 2 step, 80 has added. Then 1 step, 2 steps. Now our sequence has ended. So that's how we got this slice back. Same way we can mention the 3. So now it will take, instead of 2, 3 steps. So as usual we will include our first item 0, then 1 2 3 30, again 1 2 3 60, again 1 2 3 90. So this way we utilize our slicing. But now let's do one thing. Now let's mention that the start and end. So let's say I want to start up my slice from 1. So let's see with this only. So do you see what has happened now? So as we have mentioned 1, so our slice will begin from this 10. There will be the first item. As usual we include our start, so 10 has included. Then 1 2 3 40, then again 1 2 3 70, then again 1 2. So it has not added because we have ended our slice before that. Let's say now I want to mention the end point also. So what's the end argument? So let's make it end before this 8 index. So what will happen now? So when we have mentioned this 8, so as usual we does not include the last item. So it will not cross after this 70. If 70 is there, then it will include that, and beyond that it will not include that. So let's run the code. So do you see what has happened? We got 10, then 1 2 3 40, then again 1 2 3, right? So we have added our 70 because what we have mentioned 8. So up to 7 it will include that index. So that if you will mention instead of 8 7, so what will happen? We will not get 70 because it will end our slice one item before that, that's 6. So now we got a clarity on that, right? Now let's do one thing. Now let's learn, instead of positive steps, what happens when we use negative steps, because that's where a complexity level goes high. So now let's remove this. Let's remove the start and end. So as usual, when you will don't mention the start and end, so this takes the whole list as a consideration. Now let's mention this -1. So do you see what has happened? You must be looking what has happened. What kind of output is this? So let's understand that. So whenever we use a positive step, this positive step, we begin our slicing from left to right. But whenever we use a negative negative step, then our slicing begins from right to left. So what has happened? As our slicing begins from right to left, whenever we have a negative step, so it begins from 90th, then 80th, then 70. So our whole list has reversed. Now the same way we can do our start and end also, but there is a catch over here. Now whenever you will make a start, that start will start from the right side and end will happen from the left side, as it goes from right to left. So we will always go in this case from right to left. So now let's say I want to take a slice from 80th to 40th. So what you will do, we will mention first the index of this 8, because now this is the start, this 8. So when this 8 is the start over here, so as usual we include our start index. So we'll mention over here 8, and then as usual we'll go up to 40th, but whenever we mention this end, it does not include the last index, so we have to mention the index of this third index. So we have to subtract one index from it whenever we have a negative step, because in positive index we add one it, and negative step we will subtract one index from this end. So what is our index of this 40th? 4 minus 1 3. So let's make it 3. Do you see? We got this output. So 80 70 60 50 40. So this is what the output we got. And same way, if you will interchange these two start and end with the negative index, it does not make any impact. So what is the negative index of this 8? -2. And what is the negative index of this 3? -7. So do you see, we will get the same output. And same way, we can increase this step in a negative way. Let's make it 2. The same way, whenever there is a negative sign on this step, so we'll always start from the right to left. So that's how, whenever we have mentioned here -2 negative index, we started from this 8th index, 80th, then we go 1 to 60, then here we went 1 to 40th, and we have mentioned that third is the last. So we do not include this third, so it has stopped one step after this when we have a negative indexing, so up to over here itself. But now, instead of this 40, now let's say I want to do one thing. Instead of 40, now I want to start my indexing. Let's say I want to make start 40th, but I want to now go in and end 80th. In this case, what will happen? Now I'm making a start from 40th, start and end on 80th with a negative slice. So let's see what will happen. So now I'll make my start from this 4th index and end on this. So I want to make this, so I'll add 1 in. So let's make it 9. And let's stop, let's make it -1. So do you see, what did we get back? A empty list. Why? Because we made a start on the start point from this 4th index, and whenever we have a negative slice, we always go from right to left. So it cannot go from, whenever we have a negative step, from left to right. So, and we have mentioned the end in a right side. So whenever we have a negative step, whatever the index you are choosing on a start point, the end must be from there to the left hand side. It cannot be on a right hand side. So I hope that gives you a pretty good clarity about these negative slicing also and negative steps also. So thanks guys, I hope you have understood the slicing very well. And don't forget to subscribe the channel, please like the video, and don't forget to please comment if you have learned something new. Thanks a lot, bye bye.